He said take a village to raise a child. But what if the village is retarded?
What's going on? I was trying to be entertained, but once again I have fell flat on my face. And I'm gonna talk about why I continue to fall flat on my face. And it's something that I've noticed for a while with people that do, basically a lot of people that do live streams. A lot of people in general. And what I noticed is a lot of people are broke and angry. You know, what do I mean by broken angry? Is just as it explains, just as I stated. Excuse me, I'm eating some homemade pizza. But a lot of people are broke and angry.
You're broke. You're fucking poor.
And that's why they're frustrated. That's why the content is people yelling and screaming and blaming this and blaming that. And it's frustration. And I know people got to get their frustrations out. People don't know how to get their frustrations out. Now, me, I used to kind of be frustrated. I probably have some content on my history that is of me being broke and angry. But nevertheless, I will say a lot of people are broke and angry. You know, a lot of people are in the trenches and they're broke and angry. One of the things about being in the trenches is very frustrating. Being in the trenches, being in the trenches will have you being very, very angry. You know, a lot of people don't want to talk about how they don't want to talk about the real problem. I'm one of the few individuals on YouTube, offline, online, that talks about what the problem is, that talks about the source of the problem. And the source of the problem isn't this or that. It's that you don't have no fucking money. You know what I'm saying? That's the source of the problem. I'm one of the few individuals that zero back. I mean, I drift off into talking about other things, but I always come back to what the underlying problem is, and this is a reminder of what the problem is.
You're broke. You're fucking poor.
I'm here to remind you motherfuckers what your problem is. It's not Iran, it's not fucking Cuba, it's not you know, passport bros, it's not, Keisha, it's not the fucking AI, it's not, all kind of other shit. It's the fact that you're fucking broke. And a lot of people that are broke that don't want to talk about, like, think about this, right? Just think about this. Statistically, there's like, I would say 75% of individuals, race unabated, are financially broke. And think about this. How many of those broke people actually acknowledge their financial state openly, online or offline, and actually try to address it? Like, talk about it or try to deal with it. How many people do that? Absolutely very few. Exactly. Exactly. Now you see the point. That's why a lot of times I just listen in the clouds, and then if I can't, if I want a certain outcome and I'm not getting it, well, obviously there's a reason why I'm not getting it, because your content is about you being broke and angry. The people on the panel being broke and fucking angry, not addressing the fucking underlying issues why you're broke and angry. Whatever that is, you overworked and underpaid, got a lot of bills, you don't make enough to pay your bills, whatever that is, that's why you're frustrated. That's why your content is as it is. And that's why, really, to be honest, you're not really growing. A lot of people ain't not growing is because really you ain't not addressing the problem. You could be talking about a whole bunch of other things that are more important, but you're surface level. The leaves is surface. You see browning of leaves on a tree or a plant. You go discover not at the leaves what the problem is. You have to go to the root to discover why the leaves are brown. You don't just go to the fucking leaves and discover where the problem is. You see the problem, but you have to go to the root to find out what the problem actually is and address it. And a lot of you motherfuckers, you're running away from the root of the problem, because those are where the problems lie, and you're trying to run from your problems. And it's and it's like, I have to, I mean, I'm on YouTube, a lot. I sometimes, a lot of times, I'm on YouTube to really, to be honest, to be entertained. And the entertainment, unfortunately, is lack fucking luster. And I know why it's lackluster, because a lot of you motherfuckers are broke. And you can't, and you don't want to tell anybody that the reason why your fucking content sucks is because you're broke. You're not addressing the fucking issue at hand. You're a broke motherfucker. Your whole existence is based off of your broke ass. And it's like, yeah, man. I mean, this is universal. I hate to fucking be the bearer of bad news. I mean, I fucking noticed the shit. I mean, like, I noticed what your problems is, because I've had those same problems. I know what your problems is. I know what you're trying to run from. I know what you're trying to hide from. I know why you frustrated and hate this and hate that.
Nigga, did you know that I can see you?
I noticed the statistics do not lie. One of the things that I love about statistics is that it does not lie. It addresses the actual reality of what the hell is going on. When you go outside that door, or even you don't even got to go outside the door. When you turn the TV on or you turn on YouTube, you can see the statistics. You can hear the statistics. People spewing out, whatever they're spewing out, what they're actually spewing out is statistics. Not necessarily they're spewing out the actual statistics. They're spewing out the outcome of the statistics that already exist. 75% of Americans are basically in debt. A lot of people are underemployed or unemployed. A lot of people actually are underemployed. See, a lot of people don't even talk about that. How the fact that a lot of people are actually underemployed. Now, I haven't even done a video or a live stream to address underemployment. Like a lot of people are employed, but they're underemployed as far as they don't really make enough to pay for their cost of living. And that could be very, very frustrating. That could be extremely frustrating. Just think about it, right? Let me get my other phone so I can kind of slow stroke this and find out some things. You know, we could both educate each other on what is actually going on. I don't expect anybody to really, zero in on me or anything like this right now. I mean, it's like it's late at night. This is just gonna be an upload that most likely somebody will listen to on the playback. But nevertheless, I just want to point out some things, right? A lot of people are actually underemployed. Okay, underemployed. They don't make enough from their income sources to pay for their expenses. So, for example, let's look up the average income in America. In the USA. And this is why they want to continuously, do certain things and have certain things going on, because they want people to run away from these problems and issues. They don't want you focusing in on these issues, because then you're not going to support anything that they got going on, because you're going to be like, this has nothing to do with what the problem is. So the average per capita income, and this is race unabated, in the United States is $41,000 a year. Okay. $41,000 a year. That is the average income in America. Okay. Now, when you break that down, $41,000 a year, divide that by 12. That's about $3,400 a month. That's not even like after taxes. That's actually before taxes. So the tax rate depends on where you live. It's around close to 30%, over 30% if you're single. You could pretty much say out of that 41,000, you're only going to have like a little bit less, a little bit over probably 30,000 after taxes and everything is taken out. So now you could pretty much safe to say that 41,000, you left with about 34,000. I'm gonna just keep that, keep that modest amount, which is around $2,800 a month. All right, we okay. So we got about $2,800 a month. All right, now you got to live somewhere. What is the average rent or mortgage payment in America? Let's work these things out, because this is why people are broken, frustrated, and angry, and this is why this is why the sentiments are on all of these live streams and whatnot. All right, so what is the average rent or mortgage in the United States? And rent payment. Let's put rent payment in the USA. Okay. Now these are very, very tangible questions, and these are very, very serious issues. And it pretty much shares the sentiments of why people are so frustrated. Okay. And why their content is based off of that level of frustration, they don't want to fucking talk about. Okay. They don't want to talk about it. Now, I'm going to be I'm going to continuously talk about the problems that people don't want to talk about, which is financial problems, which is primarily an issue. And it's been historically an issue before I was even born. Now, the media mortgage payment in the United States is $2,200 a month. Okay, so we already let's put some things here. We already determined that the medium income is around, and then you got to also point this out: 77% of Americans are in debt. Okay, so we've already that's an old banner. It's a lot of simps. But basically, the medium income is 41,000. See, 40. Wait, hold on. $41,000 after taxes. Around $34,000. Okay, let's show this here. Wait, hold on. Let me edit this again. Okay, medium income. All right. Okay. All right. Show this here. This is why people are broke and frustrated. Okay, broke and angry. This is the main reason, right? This is Exhibit A. We call this Exhibit A. This is why people are broke and angry. Okay, 40 1,000, about 34,000 after taxes. Then also, 77% of Americans are in debt. So add that to the mix. So that would be Exhibit B, right? So you got Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Okay. Now, and this will be why people are so broke and angry. Okay. So we got about $34,000 after taxes, and most likely you're in debt. It's safe to assume, and not make an ass out of yourself, out of you and me, that you probably, if you're making $34,000, and I've been there, okay. Be honest, I would say that I've been underemployed. Most of my working career, I would say that I've been underemployed. Now, the thing is that Exhibit C is, let me get this information here. You now also have other issues where you got a medium monthly mortgage payment, and we haven't even gotten to cars and light bills, gas bills, phone bills, child support, transportation costs, um, student loan payments, credit card payments, water bills. We haven't even gotten to that. This is why people are so frustrated. This is why the content spews this frustration, because they're not talking about this. They're not telling you how fucking broke they are. And this is why I don't listen to these fucking broke motherfuckers, because they're not telling you, they're not being honest with you and telling you how fucking broke they fucking are and how frustrated they actually are. That's why they, are talking the stuff that they're talking. Medium mortgage payment is $2,200 a month. The average rent, safe to say, because we talking about at least a 2-bedroom, because most people have at least kids, or we'll just say, I'll just put it at about $2,000. Rent is $2,000. We'll just put $2,000. This is why people are frustrated. So pretty much their whole check, and this is the monthly income. This is not every 2 weeks. No, this is if you get paid a month. This here is this 34,000 is, that's $2,800 a month. So they have to save up all two. Okay, if they get paid bi-weekly, they gotta save basically all 4 paychecks to be able to pay this here. All 4 paychecks. If they get paid every 2 weeks, they gotta save both of those paychecks to be able to pay this mortgage payment and this rent payment. And you could forget about trying to pay for any debts. They're just gonna be in debt for a while. This is why people are broke and angry. This is exactly why people are so broke and angry. And this is why people are yelling on YouTube. This is why people are frustrated as hell on YouTube, talking like crackheads, because they're broke and angry. And they don't know they don't want to address their financial problems. They don't come to the Broke Genius channel and hop in the chat and talk about things. They don't, ask for a link. None of that. They just going on their page and being broke and angry. And then wondering why somebody like myself, they ain't gonna go for that shit. It knows exactly what the fuck the problem is. It just go right to my channel and address it. I'm far from dumb. I know what people's fucking problems are. Very simple. I'm good. I promise you I'm good at that. Like, I know what your fucking problems are. I can see right through you. I mean, like you might be fooling other people or your audience or whoever. But you ain't fooling me.
You're broke. You're fucking poor.
Not fucking fooling me. So, okay, basically, you're fucked when you make that low amount of money. We already know that, right? You're broke and you're fucking angry as fuck because most of your paycheck, your whole monthly paycheck is gone towards rent and your mortgage payment. So then basically you gotta be at home with your DoorDash on, your DoorDash app on live or Uber because you don't, we already know you're not making enough. That's the medium income, right? Medium income is this here. So we already know you're not making enough. You ain't like the broke genius because you don't fuck with the broke genius. You think the broke genius some fucking loser nigga or whatever the fuck, or some, motherfucker you don't rock with for whatever reason. But the broke genius ain't got no fucking rent or mortgage payment. Because I already knew this shit years ago. I knew this shit decades ago. You gotta do whatever you gotta do to get out of paying rent or mortgage. That shit will fucking destroy your ass. I don't have no rent or mortgage payment. Now taxes like a motherfucker. I do have to pay taxes, but it's nowhere near, like literally my taxes is about probably like close to $2,000 a year. So I mean, it's like I gotta pay one mortgage payment a whole year. Oh my God, man. I be trying to tell you motherfuckers, man. I mean, I'm a smart motherfucker. I be trying to tell, but you can't, I know you can't, you don't have enough cojones or balls to, go live somewhere where you can afford to live. Maybe buy maybe buy a Glock with a, extended clip, whatever the law allows you. Maybe get a dog, security system. I definitely have security camera, doorbell camera, some security doors in Gary, Indiana. But hey man, I ain't got no fucking mortgage and no rent though. Promise you that. I don't have it. Matter of fact, I guess I'll brag a little bit. Shit, my house is on the fucking market. I'm selling this shit. My house is literally on the market. I'm pretty much getting ready to sell this house, and hopefully I can sell it as soon as possible. But the thing is, I ain't got no mortgage or rent, so I'm gonna pretty much mostly be, net most of the profit as far as I don't have no mortgage balance. Do have some other things I gotta take care of, but I don't have no mortgage balance to eat up my profits when I sell my house. But the thing is that you got to take certain things serious in order to really deal with this capitalistic system. A lot of you motherfuckers are talking about all kind of other stupid shit, and then wondering why you don't have you're broke and angry because you're not addressing the problems. You're not addressing the issues. And it's like exhibit C or exhibit exhibit C is those things are kicking your ass. This is kicking your ass. This is kicking your ass. And then this is ultimately, absolutely just, absolutely destroying you. You're stressed out. You come home, you're tired. You're like, damn, I just worked the whole shift, and I ain't got no money, and all these problems because you're not addressing the problem. You gotta address the problem like it's fucking like it's like a math equation that haven't been solved in 100 years. You gotta have some sense of urgency about any problem, or most likely you're not going to address it. You have to address issues.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
You have to address problems, or they're just gonna, basically, it's gonna eat you alive. You know, um, that's just how that works. Unfortunately, it ain't me. It ain't, and it wasn't designed by me. This system was not designed by me, obviously. You know, but it's basically uh anything like anything else. You have to have a system to counter this system. I mean, one of the things that I use, obviously, my book, The Millionaire Savings Plan. I mean, basically, that's what I use. That's one of the things that I use to, address this actual financial system that we live in. This is what I use here, right? This is my mode one. Okay, this is my Bible. This is something that I created to help me deal with these circumstances. Like I said, I've been underemployed most of my life, I would say. Probably other than probably when I was 25, I was doing good. I probably peaked it when I was like 25. But when I got older, I still, like, yeah, I can say that I've had issues with, I would say, being underemployed, or not making enough income really to live, kind of a certain lifestyle, or above the medium cost of living and stuff like that. Because basically, if you're underemployed, you don't really make enough. Like I say, like right here, you don't make enough to basically to cover these things. This here, primarily cost of living. You don't make enough. Like, for example, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I had a homeboy that I grew up with. One of my homies I grew up with. He literally, this was his life. He literally had to. I talked about it before. He had to bounce a check. He had to. Okay, so he pretty much, most of his money went towards his mortgage payment. His granddaddy passed away. He was already living with his granddaddy. You know, his mama was. I ain't gonna go in on the man life story, but his mama pretty much. You already know, if you living with your grandparents, you already know your parents wasn't shit pretty much. If your parents alive, or one or two, whatever, and you live with your grandparents, it's something associated with your actual paternal parents that's fucked up, but that's obvious, right? But the thing is that he lived with his granddad. His granddad died, and he pretty much lived there already. So he pretty much kind of like took over the mortgage. Now, he was fine, as far as he was able to do it for as long as he could. He would basically, this is what he would do to pay for the mortgage. He would get paid. He'd get paid every 2 weeks. He would basically pay the mortgage. The mortgage would take up most of his check, and his check would basically bounce. The bank would give him an overdraft credit, and he would basically survive off of the bank basically paying that overdraft credit to pay for his mortgage payment. And then when he get his second check, basically he already in the hole before he got paid. So then his bank account would basically, balance out, and then it's basically like he'll get ready to do the same thing again next month. He was doing that for years. Okay. And ultimately it backfired because he lost his job and his unemployment was not enough to cover that system that he was using. Because good or bad, that's your system. It doesn't matter like what it is. Your system could be whatever it is. That's your system of how you financially survive. That was how he survived. That was his financial system to write a check or, basically pay for his mortgage payment and then let his bank cover the overdraft because his paycheck wasn't enough. I mean, I admit he wasn't driving, and this was well before Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all that. So it wasn't none of that was going on at that time. Like, so this was like 2000 and I want to say 6 or 7. Yeah, 2008, something like that. So yeah, he didn't have nothing else going on the side really. He wasn't doing nothing else on the side. And pretty much, yeah, he was just basically banking on that the bank was going to pay for using the bank's credit, overdraft credit, to pay for his mortgage payment. After he got unemployed, the unemployment, I think unemployment, if you lucky, they might cover like half of what you normally make. So if you making $4,000 a month, you lucky if you can get like $2,000 a month from unemployment. So, okay, that system he was using didn't work with unemployment because it wasn't enough. So he would basically make almost just enough to out of his paycheck when he was working to pay for one mortgage payment. Well, when he got unemployed, that wasn't enough to pay one mortgage payment. His actual entire monthly salary was like basically supplemented from unemployment. Unemployment was like his full monthly compensation was like basically what his mortgage payment was, and it was less than what he would basically what he was getting from unemployment was less than for the whole month was less than what his mortgage payment was. So he couldn't just pay all of his unemployment to the mortgage company. So he just pretty much he couldn't pay it. He did it for as long as he could, and as far as like tried to come up with some type of plan or whatever, try to get a job. But I think this was like 2008, so it was like it was Great Recession or whatever, and he couldn't get another job in time to save his house, so he ended up losing his house. So I mean, this is a thing, and the thing is that he's doing okay now. He's actually making more money. He actually changed careers, got into IT, and he's doing good. It's like the thing is that yeah, it's a lot of people, man, have realities like this or even worse, and they don't really address it. Sometimes they'll you got people. People. One of the things about the internet and YouTube and social media, people actually have kind of like friendships. They have like almost like online friendships where they come online and they express what's going on in their life. And sometimes people will give you some breadcrumbs on what might be going on in their life. Um, or something happens and then you realize what happened. It's like, somebody is homeless or whatever, and they go live and they say, damn, I lost my house, and I'm homeless now. Give me some money. It's like, I mean, some people do that. They find, some type of emergency situation happened, and then you find out. I mean, usually what happens is that person, he gets crucified from other people who laughing at his predicament, because that's what people do on the internet. They laugh at your predicament. They don't try to big you up or help you. There'll be some people that help you out, but they just that unfortunately the internet is very cruel. They don't care. They'll laugh at your predicament. I mean, it could be worse. I've seen things on the internet that, I've seen people get ran over and people laugh at people getting ran over. The person obviously died when they got ran over. People will laugh at that. There's some sick ass, crazy ass people on the internet, man. I mean, you know, people literally laugh at someone dying, getting ran over. You know, it's, it's some wicked ass people, man. They just. You might not know it, but they might not show it, but they laugh at people dying. People be putting if you notice about Facebook, every now and again something tragic happens, people will put smiley faces under the comments. They'll under the likes they'll put smiley faces or laughing faces. It's like, yeah, man, it's some wicked people, man. They but the internet, yeah, when you express something that you're going through, most likely you're not gonna get no support like that. You know, women with children tend to get more support. I would say from what I've seen on the internet, most of the time, young women or women with children get supported more than anybody. Men coming online talking about they struggling or they living in a RV down by the river or something, and they barely can make ends meet. Like, people just don't care. People don't care about men. Men are pretty much expendable. Men are very expendable. Men are, one of the things that I noticed when I got older, like I noticed, I call it rich old men. Rich old men they send the young poor men off to fucking die. Really, to be honest, that's one of the black pill, realities that I understood, after I got out of the military. That's one of the things that I understood. Like, I was like, wow, I started to see kind of how things work, how, the outcomes of like the Iraq war, the weapons of mass destruction. It was basically a conspiracy. It's a lie. And it's like, yeah, they just really, to be honest, they want poor young men to go out and die, you know, and rich old men send poor young men off to die, and it's like, um, unfortunately, not a lot of people know that. A lot of young people don't really know that. They don't know because they don't listen. A lot of young people don't listen to nobody. They just moving fast and they're just reacting to certain situations. 5 people just died in a car accident in Gary, Indiana. They were all Generation Z, all 20-year-olds. They tried to run. So in the United States, as far as I know, there's no bullet trains. Let me see what the fastest train is. Fastest train in the United States. it's no bullet trains because bullet trains is they clock out at over 200 miles an hour. They're in Japan primarily, and also Asia. So the fastest train in the United States is an Amtrak. It's called Acela, Acela or Acela. It tops out at about 150 miles an hour. Now, the bullet trains in Japan, they top out at over 200 miles an hour. Okay. Um, they're trying to build some high speed rail projects at the moment in Las Vegas, going from Las Vegas to Southern California, and also LA to San Francisco, and some other projects that they're working on. But yeah, they have the only places that have global high speed rails: Japan, France, and China. That goes over like Japanese Shinkansen goes from 199 miles an hour to 224 miles per hour. France TGV goes from 199 miles per hour to 357 miles per hour. In China, CRH goes from 217 miles per hour to 302 miles per hour. So I say all of this to say um that these five individuals, young, it was two young women and three men. They were all in their 20s. They tried to basically jump the track. They tried to get past the train, and basically the train that they was going trying to get past was a commuter train, which is like a metro train. uh if you in the Chicagoland area, you kind of know what the metro train is like. It's basically, it tops out at about 70 miles an hour. That's still fast because if you're at a track, you already stopped. So then when you try to go from zero to, you know, basically whatever top speed to get past this track, you're not timing properly how fast that actual train is actually going. That's one of the fastest trains in the area is the Metro train. The Metro and the South Shore line, exactly what was the train. The South Shore line is what the train that hit them. And those trains top out at about 70. Let me see exactly. I don't want to be. I want to be exact because it's very easy for me to be exact. Because I used to take that train every day when I used to work downtown, and I know that train goes fast because it goes express from Gary, Indiana to Chicago in like less than an hour. Yeah, it tops the maximum speed is close to 80 miles an hour, is 79 miles an hour. So, and that's the same, those are the same tracks that run off the Metro. I mean, the Amtrak. The Amtrak uses those same, I think they use the same tracks, but basically you don't have enough time to get past those basically train tracks and get past the actual it's a couple things that these young people didn't understand. You could call it Darwin, you could call it whatever, natural selection, but for one, you already are you got to get past a couple things. You got to get past the actual the train guard, which is the the gate that goes down, and you have to get past the train, and also, so you got to weave around this actual train rail or whatever that goes down to stop people from going past the actual tracks and get past the train. So that's a lot of maneuverability as well as speed that you have to actually go past, and they didn't make it. It's like all five of them died. All of them. All it was five people. They were all millennials. I mean, not millennials, Z's. They were like 20 in their 20, all in their 20s. Gone. Parents gotta, basically get ready get them prepared for a funeral. And yes, they were black too. So Gary, Indiana, mostly. I don't know what the percentage of population as far as black people in Gary, Indiana. Let me see here. But it is a lot of white people that actually live in Gary, Indiana. A lot of people don't know that, but it is quite a bit of white people that live in Gary. Gary is actually huge. Um, it is a big city, and there's like a dividing line from where white people live and where black people live in Gary. So when you like a lot of the white people live going towards like Illinois, like going west. They live like it would be actually no, they live east of Gary. A lot of the white people live east of Gary going towards Griffith, Indiana. They live on it's a street called what is that street called? I believe it's called, I forgot what the name. I think it's like Central Street or something like that. It's like that's the dividing line. Like once you go past the street, this one particular main street, that's like where where white people live versus where the black people live. I forgot what street that is. I want to say I forgot what the street name that was that actually is. Um I don't know exactly what it is. I want to say uh what is the it's definitely, I'll tell you this. It's past Grant. It's like a couple blocks. So like it's a couple main streets in Gary. One of those is Grant Street. Another one is Broadway, Klein, and Burr. So the white people live between Burr and Grant. So like the black people primarily, they like the white people live between like Ridge Road and Burr, and also going towards Grant. Then and the black people live all the way like past Ridge, and then all the way past Grant, going to Broadway, and basically going towards like Hobart. Uh, but let me see what the demographics of Gary, Indiana is. It used to be like Gary, Indiana actually used to be an entirely white town or city. It used to be entirely, it was like Mayberry at one time. But it's 80% African American, 12% white, 5% Latino or Hispanic. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that yeah, they died. Like yeah, they passed away. I think it happened like a couple days ago. Got hit by a train. All five occupants in the vehicle died. I mean, trains are like tractor trailers. Like that, a train is more powerful than obviously a tractor trailer truck. Like, for example, because I remember when I was in trucking school, they said when the tractor trailer trucks hit a cow, the cow just like it's like a big burst because the truck goes so fast and the truck has so much power, has so much mass that when it hits the a deer or even a cow, it mainly is a deer because it's like not no cow, usually. So it's usually a deer. The deer it just bursts like a balloon because the actual mass and force and power that tractor trailer truck is going with, like it literally it just pops it. Like it's just like a big ass like balloon. I mean, it makes a mess, but it doesn't do that much damage to the truck other than it's like, you got to clean it off. But when like let's just say a train hits a train could hit a cow and it's the same result. Like, it's not it just like a little pop, like it just, collapses, and so a car with occupants in it, that's why trains and tractor trailer trucks are deadly on the road when it comes to accidents because it's too much force and mass, and going at a particular speed. I mean, it's extremely dangerous, and surviving a train crash or a train accident is almost like impossible. It's like, it's very deadly usually. But I don't know how I got off into the weeds with that. But I was just saying, like a lot of young people, they don't listen. They just, that's how I got off into that. But yeah, man, that's why people are broke and angry, man, because they got, most people, like I said, I mean, most people are, I would say, underemployed. Even let's just be honest. Let's just say, let's just say people made, let's just say people made, right? Let's go up as far as salary. Let's just say, you know, people made 80, like double that, $80,000. The average income actually is 67,000. You know, the medium is like 40, I mean 56,000. The average is about 67,000. The per capita income per average per person is about 41,000. That's why I got the 41,000. But let's just say they made 80,000. Who cares? Like they made 80,000. I mean, with taxes, they gonna bring home around 60 something thousand. Maybe 58. Like they still gonna have a problem with this here. They're still going to have a problem with this because the price of rent and mortgages are, the price of housing is just shot up. Like inflation has brought the prices of houses up as far as price. Rent prices went up. Then you got, people have car payments usually. People have credit card bills or revolving credit card. People have, different responsibilities or different expenses. A lot of people, a lot of men, they over the age of 30 or 25, they probably have a child support that they got to pay. But they getting deductions out of their paycheck. So it's a lot of financial responsibility. And that's why people are broke and angry. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I know people ain't gonna stop doing what they're doing, which is not talking about their financial problems, talking about all kind of other stupid, goofy shit. I know that's gonna be the case. This is not my first video talking about why people don't talk about their financial problems. I mean, I'm just saying that's why the content is what it is. That's why it's people extremely upset, extremely frustrated, yelling on panels. That's why, people are talking about all kind of other goofy stuff because people are broke and angry. I mean, to be honest, nobody really wants to be on YouTube just for shits and giggles. The goal is to probably try to make as much money as they possibly can. Most people don't make that much money on YouTube. Like it's YouTube has a formula. Like it's a certain amount of money. Like it's a lot of things. It's a lot of moving parts when it comes to YouTube. It's very algorithmic based. I do agree with that. It's very algorithmic based. It's also content based. And if your content sucks, it just you're not gonna make that much money. It is what it is. Now, when I say money, I'm just saying like at least 50,000 plus a year. Like you making, the medium, like I say, the medium per capita income is about $41,000 a year. No, hardly anybody is making that on YouTube. Like very few individuals are making that on YouTube, and it's only so many channels that are actually even monetized. And if you're trying to depend on cash apps and super chats, well, if you got super chats, then you already are monetized. But if you're just trying to depend on cash apps, you know, man, you better off. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. Unless you just, well, and to be honest, man, it just depends. But most people probably you better off doing fucking DoorDash than depending on cash apps on YouTube, because it's just not designed like that. Like I mean, most people, they got any type of monetization. That's where they're making money off YouTube, because it's based off of views and also super chats. Because most people are going to send a super chat. People are not comfortable really sending. Like it's some people are comfortable sending cash apps, but most of the time people want to send super chats. So, and like I say, it's a very small percentage of people that are actually even monetized on YouTube. So it's a very competitive game, and it's systematic. Like it's certain things you got to do. It's certain, even content quality. Like if your content is too radical or too wild, YouTube does not want that, like that. Like they don't want everybody to have wild, crazy content. So they pick and choose who's able to have it. But I mean, for the most part, they don't want that. They want YouTube to kind of be. They want you to kind of be somewhat PG, but at the same time, I mean, it's not necessarily that. It's like when it comes to YouTube, actually, what I'm saying is when it comes to YouTube, actually, you wanting YouTube to actually partner with you and actually push your content, they want you to be PG. They want you to be like almost damn near close to family friendly as possible. Now, if you got enough influence, like I said, I mentioned BGS before. BGS doesn't need YouTube. BGS has enough actual people that follow him to support him. He doesn't need YouTube to push out his content. Most people don't really have influence like that as well, that they have supporters that are going to, basically kind of like, kind of support them. You know what I'm saying? So it's those are things and those are concepts that are involved with that. But a lot of people they just they just doing their own thing or whatever. And I get it. I mean, me myself, I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing me. I'm not really I'm not concerned about YouTube. I'm not concerned about supporters and all of that. But the thing is that a lot of people are. A lot of people are very concerned. A lot of people, they trying to, make money off of this YouTube thing, and they suck. Most people suck, because it's like I said before, I made it a point to not I stopped listening to people that I know for a fact are not in a good financial situation. Like I can tell certain people that are trying to front and trying to not trying to put on some type of show or talk certain things, and I know they broke. I know they busted. I can hear. I know I do DoorDash, so I know DoorDash when I hear it go off. Like I've heard people on panels, they're they going live streaming, their DoorDash app goes off. I know I know what that sound is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest with you, DoorDash is like one of the lowest paid gig apps in the gig economy, if you want to say. Now you can make money off of DoorDash. I'm not saying you can't, but it's the one of the lowest paid like jobs or gigs that you could actually do. It's a lot of shit that you could do that pays way more than fucking DoorDash. So when I hear that shit, I already know, yeah, this nigga's struggling. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. But to front like you not struggling, I definitely don't. I got no I get it. I understand people don't want to. Everybody on YouTube makes over $100,000. I get that whole concept. I get that actual, like that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody posing like they straight. And black people do that a lot. Black people are known for doing that. Like everybody know black people statistically are really bad. Statistically, the stats do not lie. And it doesn't matter if you go get with someone outside your race. It doesn't matter if whatever the case may be. Statistically, you're in that statistic. When the world looks at you like that statistic, they know, okay, chances are, yeah, you probably don't, if you go in a dealership, they don't want to fuck with you because, black people known for having, bad credit, no job and all that type of stuff. But the thing is that, it's like a lot of what black people do is, I guess because of that, they try to put on, certain chauvinistic, or not so much chauvinistic, but they try to front like everything is cool. And I get the reality of trying to front like everything is cool, trying to kind of almost to the point where you're trying to be delusional. I get it. I get the concept of it, but the reality is still the reality, you know. And to be honest, most black people, I'll be honest with you, statistically, make less than even this medium income here. A lot of black people make even less than this. A lot of it's a lot of black communities that are very like not even underemployed, they're unemployed. And it's a lot of, if you look at a lot of black communities, or even just black statistically, a lot of black people they live around other black people that are a combination of unemployed, and also combine that with underemployed. And to be out, just to come online and act like everything is cool, like like yeah, we good, man. I'm good, man. It's like, man, dude, come on, bro. And it's like, you know, I get people are very subconscious, and people make fun of other people. If you give people some type of information about yourself, they're gonna talk about you. I get it, but statistically, you can't lie to me because I already know the stats. I already understand, the vocal undertones. Like I tell people, I'm a brokeologist. You can't fool me the fact that you're not broke. I already know. I can understand by your behaviors and daily actions, content, everything, that you broke. I already know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I it's very obvious. And to be honest, if you don't talk about money, you don't talk about finances and global, financial, basically news and what's going on. I already know you broke because most of well-to-do or people that are actually well-to-do or even trying to be well-to-do, like people like myself and others that talk about finance, that's what they talk about. So if you're not talking about that, I already know you broke. I already know you busted because that's what busted people do. They don't talk about money, and it's like, yeah, man, I know what's up, man. And hey, that's why I did this content, man, this live stream, because it's like, man, y'all, man, I literally, man, every day I see you motherfuckers, man. Y'all just, and that's why y'all broke and angry and shit, That's why the content, pretty much, talks that's what y'all be talking about. That's why y'all be so angry and shouting and shit like that. And I just got to come on and just, kind of be, what I'm saying, tell it like I see it, you know.
Nigga, did you know that I can see
You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all be in the clouds and y'all be playing back, my content. I know, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like this. I mean, I'll just say it like this. You can either deal with the problem or the problem will deal with you. Okay? That's just how that works.